The first alleged sighting of the Loveland Frogman was in 1955. A traveling salesman was driving along the Branch Hill Loveland Road when he traveled over a bridge above the Little Miami River. He says he spotted 3 frog-like creatures conversing amongst themselves. They were around 4 feet tall and bipedal. Eventually one of the creatures noticed him, then drew out a wand and waved it around, emitting sparks. The man then ran away. Nothing more was heard of the creatures until 1972, when Ray Shockey, a local police officer, reported seeing a frogman. He was traveling along Riverside Road, which ran adjacent to the Little Miami River. In the dead of night, around 1 a.m., he says he saw a bizarre creature scamper across his headlights, running past the road on all 4s. It then got up on 2 legs and climbed over the barrier before disappearing. 2 weeks later, Officer Mark Matthews was traveling close to where Shockey had seen the creature when he spotted something with the same description. He immediately got out of his car, drew his sidearm, and shot the creature, killing it. After examining the corpse, he determined it to be a large iguana that was missing its tail. He relayed this to Shockey, as well as showed him the corpse, and it was confirmed to be the same animal. Despite this, Shockey's story would be repeated ad nauseum, without the dead iguana part. The Loveland Frogman would go on to become a local legend and a tourist magnet, with dozens of sightings throughout the years. In February of 2023, it would become Loveland's official mascot, although there was an annual festival celebrating the creature for many years before. The Frogman is the subject of last year's Frogman, a found footage film written and directed by Anthony Cousins. The film draws heavily from the Blair Witch Project, while introducing a few more unique elements. Unfortunately, the film has a large structural problem, focusing on a trio of uninteresting characters and relationship dynamics that are tired after the first 10 minutes. Once it gets to the actual search for Frogman, things pick up significantly, and the ending is very solid, but there is a dull 45-minute run-up to that. Part of the charm of the film certainly comes from how it was filmed. The general plot is that Dallas saw the Frogman when he was 10. Now, as an early 30s film school graduate, he intends to go back to Loveland and prove that it exists. To do this, he brings with him the video camera he used back in the day, meaning that the film is mostly grainy VCR quality. This certainly helps with the effects, which were largely done practically, and adds a certain authenticity. Following Dallas is his cameraman Scotty, and his non-reciprocal love interest, Amy. After we spend a bit of time getting to know them, which highlights how pitiful Dallas's life is, we head to Loveland to go ask around town about the creature. Unfortunately, this wasn't actually filmed in Loveland, but it does maintain the feeling of a small town, with a typical cast of characters. Eventually, they are given a map by the owner of a local bed and breakfast, and head out to Frogman Point. There they discover a man in a fake frog suit and mask who has been creating sightings in order to bring in tourists, very similar to what's happened in real life. This understandably causes Dallas to be upset, and he returns to the B&B and almost gets himself arrested. However, it seems like there is something more sinister going on, and they investigate the only other person who had captured footage of it. He offers more cryptic information, including a missing granddaughter, and gives them a different, real map. This is when the film really starts, as they begin to hunt the Frogman through the dark and spooky woods. They camp out, there's some frightening noises, distorted effects on the tape, and missing time. If all of this sounds familiar, it is, and this is definitely the part that is most similar to the Blair Witch. However, after their initial encounter, they go back to the B&B for the last time and discover that the town has disappeared. They then investigate down into some tunnels that were mentioned earlier, and things escalate quickly, including a cult, some Lovecraftian elements, and some body horror. Eventually, Amy and Dallas escape, but Scott is not so lucky, having been transformed into a half-frog creature. The end of the film also has a small meta element, as it's revealed the film we just watched was playing at a festival. It then cuts to Dallas backstage, where he shows the Frogman's wand, implying that in that universe, everything that happened was real. This is a bit of an odd direction to go, but it does help the film stand out at the end. There are autobiographical elements within the film, as Cousins had similar experiences to the character of Dallas, having made several short films, but no major features, and was feeling a bit lost in life. There's also something to be said about the lifeblood that a legend can give to a town. This is similar to Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost, as well as the Ratma segment of VHS 94. Overall, the film deals with a cryptid that hasn't received much attention, and the final half hour makes up for the relatively dull first act. It doesn't do anything particularly revolutionary or new, but it uses time-honored tropes solidly, and has effective sound and monster design. It's definitely worth a watch for fans of found footage. Thank you for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed this review. Comment below about any found footage films that you've enjoyed, and be well.